So first of all, welcome to the Civic Scholars info session. We're really excited that you are here to join us and that you are interested in one of our many great programs at the Bob Graham Center for Public Service. I'm Dr. Teresa Cornacione. A lot of people call me Dr. C for pretty obvious reasons, but I am the Civic Engagement Coordinator and their Undergraduate Research Coordinator at the Bob Graham Center. I'm also a lecturer in political science and women's studies. I'm a political scientist by training, and I teach a variety of courses, one of which is the Civic Scholars course. So I would be the instructor that you would have if you take the class, and we'll talk a little bit about what the class is, what you will learn. You will hear from two previous Civic Scholars, Brooke Clayton and Isabella Castro, who are involved in a variety of things going on in the Graham Center as well. So what is Civic Scholars? Basically, it is a semester-long course that is taught Monday, Wednesday, Fridays a semester. It's 3 credits, and the purpose of it is to introduce you to the research process, and we approach it from an interdisciplinary social science lens, which means that if you are interested in the social sciences broadly, which includes things like political science, sociology, history, psychology, criminology, economics, there's a ton of them. This will kind of introduce you to the process by which people who do research in the social sciences approach academic research. So at the end of it, the goal is that you would have a paper that would be very close to what you see in those academic journals for those disciplines. You get to pick a topic that you care about. Every year we sort of flip-flop between international and global themes. This year it's going to be domestic global themes instead of international. But you can pretty much pick any topic that falls under that umbrella, which is just about anything. So whether you're interested in voting rights or public policy in a variety of domains, whether you're interested in the justice system, doesn't matter. We can help you find a topic that fits for you. Some of the things that you will learn is how to even develop a good, viable research question. We're actually going to practice that today. I'm going to show you kind of how we do that in class. You will also learn how to write an effective literature review and how that looks different than maybe you've approached it before. So a lot of students, when they're first learning, they tend to just summarize a bunch of sources, and we're going to learn how that's not the right way to do it. We're going to learn actually the effective way to do that, the way academics do that. You will also learn how to collect data and get familiar with some databases. You'll get a little bit of an entry-level way to analyze data. We are not a research methods course in the sense that we're going to teach you statistics, but we're going to set you up for if that's the next step, whether that you learn how to do quantitative or qualitative research. We set you up for a foundation to learn that next step. We also will teach you how to give an academic presentation. We have an undergraduate research symposium in April that you will present at, and you will learn how to do and practice how to do a legitimate academic presentation that you would give at a conference. And as it's bolded there, you do not need prior research experience. In fact, we prefer that you don't, just because this really is meant to be for people who want to learn the research process and have very limited research experience. So with that, I'd like to invite Brooke and Isa up to the stage, and they can tell you a little bit about their experience, what they learned, and maybe how they're using that currently. So come on down, Brooke and Isa. You can come up at the same time, that's fine. You can introduce yourselves and tell the audience a little bit about why you took Civic Scholars, what you learned, and what you're doing now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brooke Clayton. I'm a sophomore here, and I took Civic Scholars last semester in the spring as a freshman. I had very limited research experience coming into UF, and it was something I was kind of insecure about because I knew I wanted to get involved in research here. I had a plan to perhaps go to grad school or law school, and as a statistics major, I knew that I wanted to work in the public policy space or something like that, and I wanted to be able to apply my skills in a way that could answer meaningful questions in the world. So I wanted to take Civic Scholars to kind of develop those skills in a way that felt more inviting and less scary right up front. I really loved the experience. It was great being with other people that were coming from a similar background as me, and kind of every single step of the way we got feedback. I never felt overwhelmed, and we even got to present at the end of the year at a research symposium through the Bob Graham Center, and it was a great experience to get feedback on our projects, and specifically like having that experience of like what it feels like to present your findings and really just feel like you did something, that you created something meaningful. I always wanted to know how to like measure things that seem more abstract. My research project was on ICT 4D projects, which is information and communication technologies in sub-Saharan Africa, and kind of how these projects that people create to see if you can develop these areas more, introduce technologies in these areas that have less technologies and are more impoverished, and kind of like bridge the digital divide between third world countries and first world countries. And I just wanted to see the best way we can do that. So my project was about analyzing whether cultural compatibility and project design would help these projects be more effective, because they're broadly ineffective over the past 2 decades. So it was really satisfying at the end when I was able to come to a conclusion. I was able to create a design that I thought would be effective in testing my hypothesis, and I was able to present it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Isabella Castro. I am a dual language major of French and Russian, also international studies with a focus on Europe and a minor in Latin American studies. I'm a 2025-27 Obama Chechki Voyager. I've also done the critical languages scholarship with Russian. The reason I'm telling you this is to kind of frame the research that I went into in Civic Scholars. Before I went in, I did have some research experience. I did the Emerging Scholars program through the Center for Undergraduate Research, and I looked at Latin American resistance through music, but it was more of a humanities-based scope. And I wanted something more on like the poli-sci kind of sort of level. And that's when I began to look at Civic Scholars. And I think I did go to the info session, although I don't remember. But I did end up applying, and I was interested by kind of the international topic. I also wanted to get to know people more in the Bob Graham Center, because everything I kind of do is public service orientated or going towards that way. But anyways, when I got into the course, I was really interested in the far right, because I took a class in spring 2025 called Anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, and I thought it was fascinating. So in my project, what I looked at was Fidesz in Hungary with Viktor Orban, and I did my project based on that. I looked at propaganda, basically how they utilize different rhetoric, and it was basically a critique of that. Well, not a critique, but basically like a discussion and an analysis. And it was really fascinating because Dr. C has a lot of experience in that area, so she was able to provide a lot of really amazing guidance for me. And after that class was over, we did do the symposium, as you said. I was actually first up in the round, and that was really scary. But it's actually not as bad as you think. It goes by really fast, and the people that come to see you at the symposium, they are genuinely curious about your project, and they want you to succeed. And they just want to help you be the best you can be, which is why they provide so much feedback. And I do think it does help you develop kind of that backbone when people like criticize this project you've been working on all semester, and you're like, oh, maybe it's not as perfect as I thought it was. So I thought that was really great. But kind of going back to like Dr. C and interim director Bernetson, they were both critical resources, and they are amazing connections, especially if you are in poli-sci, international studies, etc. If you want to do like internships and stuff here, they are a great facet to let you know more about that, because every class they would introduce with different opportunities at the Bob Graham Center, and that was really incredible. And going off of that, now that I finished Civic Scholars, I was like, what's my next step? What am I going to do for research? So I ended up applying for the Haskell Scholars Program, which is also housed here in the Bob Graham Center. And what it is, they give a scholarship of $2,000 in order for you to pursue a research project. It can be done as something like creative, like a presentation or like a exhibit, but it can also be a research paper. So I chose the research paper route, and I'm continuing looking at far right research in my department right now with Dr. Esther Roman. So there are different ways to continue, and this is definitely a good stepping stone for other opportunities, I would say. And they are both amazing instructors, and I'm so thankful I took the course, and I hope you guys will too.
Thank you so much, Brooke and Isabella. And to kind of talk a little bit about their experiences. So yes, you do get some feedback on your project at the Research Symposium, but these are all professors and graduate students that are discussants, and we learn about how to take feedback and what to do with feedback as well. And a lot of it too is never mean, I don't think, no, but just, like, oh, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? And it really doesn't matter what your major is. We can find a place for you. As Brooke said, he's a statistics major, and we found a project, or helped him develop a project that kind of married both his interest in statistics and kind of a social science type of project. So what will you learn? So you definitely learn about how different disciplines within the social sciences approach research questions. It's largely the same, whether you're in sociology or political science or psychology or criminology. There's a pretty standard way that those disciplines approach questions. You learn about some public policy issues. So we interspersed in that curriculum is resources about public policy issues and current events and things that are happening that to help you think about, well, how can I take what I'm watching on the news or what I'm seeing happen and develop that into an actual academic research question, and not just, people talking online about this issue, right? Like, how do I actually research that in an important way? And then you can better understand how that stuff impacts communities and understand how to, engage. Maybe your research ends up morphing a little bit from academic to more policy-based or applied, and we can kind of talk about how research sort of morphs through those different stages. All right, so we're going to do a little activity through Mentimeter. And so what you will do is we're going to show you how you maybe take an interest in develop that into an actual question. So Brooke is very kindly going to press the Start Mentimeter button really quickly. And then we are going to play a little game. I'm going to make you do work at an info session, but we're going to kind of show what we are interested in and how that can be developed into how you can start that development. And this is actually something we do in class as well to help you. All right, Brooke, go ahead and hit the next button. And you have to hit the start again. All right, so just really quickly in a couple of words, maybe you can type in a current event or a topic that you are interested in. So it can be maybe something you happened upon on the news, or maybe it's a general issue that we are dealing with as well. So just what's something that interests you? Oh my goodness, some really good ones in there. I like that the first one was public transportation. Like, that is a issue near and dear to every UF student's heart right now, right? It's like, how am I even getting to campus on time to make my classes? All right, so there's a variety of great stuff here. And all of this would be eligible, right, for you to pursue in the context of Civic Scholars. It may not necessarily be in its final form, right? But we help you take this interest and sort of massage it and morph it into a very viable research question. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So think about what you wrote here. Now finish the sentence with that question in mind. Why are you interested in that? Because I want to find out who, what, why, how, whether, under what conditions. It's my favorite question starter. All right, so how to promote equal education opportunity for all people, the effects of different modes of transportation, how things, affect public policy, how the current surge of AI is affecting politics, whether there are other methods to go about fast fashion and make it more sustainable. These are all really great social science research questions. All right, now you're going to take it a step further. So now that you have a topic that you're interested and you know why you're interested in it, now you take it a step further and we do the very fun question of, so what? So why does this question matter? And so maybe not just why it matters, kind of think about first why it matters to you. Right? And so it's very easy to think about why something matters to you, what motivates you to ask a particular question. Every child who's ill deserves good care and a good quality of life. Okay. Everyone deserves access to health care. Health care is important. You can't, live, right, without health care. It's changing dramatically with the rise in AI. And what we might do to take that step further is we might ask, well, what changes, right, are we seeing? We're seeing changes in how maybe different services are provided. We're seeing changes in how universities respond to it. There's stalls in meaningful public policy. Like, why is it? Why is it that we can't seem to move forward on certain issues? Everybody should have affordable. We can reduce poverty, express political opinions without backlash. There's a rise in political violence, right? So there's all kinds of things that, may matter to us. Okay, now we take it a step further. Not only does it matter to us, but why would somebody be interested into it? So answering my question or discovering the root cause of this is important because and you can also think about it, if we can't, right? If we can't find a policy solution to this issue, or if we can't provide health care to a lot of, a wide variety of human beings, or if we can't find a solution to how people talk to each other, those have consequences. So answering that question is important because, and then you can kind of fill in the blank with your own research question or your own interest. Defines the next generation, future of our country, right? So we don't want uneducated people or people without access to education doing certain, being in charge of things. We want, good policies. It affects us now, but future generations. If we don't address global warming, maybe, or climate change, it might get worse. We don't want people to be canceled. We don't want to go down a particular road when it comes to regulating speech. We want to be able to positively impact voting trends. We should learn about the comfort. We should learn about things about keeping people healthy. So these all have consequences. So we're going to take those kind of abstract concepts in Civic Scholars, and we tell you, and we kind of walk you through the process of adding academic backbone to those things and to say, well, what is the potential consequence of my research question for future researchers, for policymakers, and for the world we live in. So that's kind of how we start the classes going very early in the semester to get you acquainted with the idea of how do I develop a research, where do I even start with developing a research question? All right, thank you, Brooke. If you would advance to the next slide for me. All right, so here's the nuts and bolts of the course. The course is IDS 4911. It's 3 credits, Introduction to Undergraduate Research. Isabella mentioned also our interim director, Marianne Vernetson. We usually co-teach the class, but because she is now interim director and has a lot of things on her plate, I am going solo. So you get me all to yourself. The class will meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday during period 6. It is departmentally controlled, so you can't just go into 1UF, right, and register and add it to your schedule. We will add you to the course, and the reason that we do an application is because we are capped at around 30 students. So what we're looking for in the application matters, and that's part of what we will cover. There is an application, but it's really easy. And if you look on your tables, those half sheets of white paper show you the kind of the more content-focused questions that are on the application. Obviously, we're going to ask things like your name and your email. But in addition to that, there's some more questions we will ask. Some things that we will do, like we just kind of played around with, you will pick a topic of interest to you. We are not going to assign you a topic. So you're going to pick a topic of interest to you, and we will help you develop it into an actual research question. We will take that And we will teach you how to do secondary research skills. And I say secondary because we do not expect you to go actually out and interview people or travel somewhere and do a case study or collect original data. We will kind of show you how to use secondary sources in order to answer a research question. We will also teach you how to use databases. We will get you fit for a presentation, and we will produce a final product that is almost ready for submission to a journal. And I say almost because there will probably be an additional step of like research collection, data analysis, and things that we won't have time to do in a semester. Those papers that you read in academic journals that your professors assign to you, those sometimes take a full year or more to actually do. And so it's not reasonable to expect in a semester for anyone to produce something like that. But we will have you set up so that if you wanted to take it to that next step, it's ready to take to that next step. So the application process, the interest form, the application should be completed no later than November 14th. We will stop collecting them after November 14th, and we will announce those decisions, whether or not you were accepted into the class before Thanksgiving. So you will know prior to Thanksgiving. Spots are reserved on a first-come, first-served basis, so the earlier you put your application in, the better for you, because that is kind of the tiebreaker, right? So the things that we look for in the application is limited research experience and a genuine interest in learning research. So I'll go through the application in more detail and kind of explain what we mean by limited research experience, but those are the two big things that we look for. Do you have limited research experience, and can you cohesively and coherently express an interest in the theme? So this is what the application looks like on Qualtrics. There's a little sort of thing about, most of what I just told you, a link to our website to learn more information. You'll obviously provide us your first and last name, your UFID. That is so that we can enroll you in the course if you are accepted. And your UF email. Please do not put your Gmail or your AOL account. I'm kidding, none of you have AOL accounts. I still have my AOL account. It's 30 years old. But do put your UF email. The year that you're at in UF. Now, this really doesn't matter at all. All right, so there's a correlation between being a first year, second year, and having limited research experience. But if you're a senior, that's okay too. We have had seniors in Civic Scholars. It's more important to us that you get a good introduction to research experience rather than you come in as a freshman, right? So that does not really matter, but we're curious. What major in college you are, that's mostly just for our own interest. We do not prefer one major over another, but we are just kind of curious as to what kinds of majors are applying. So you can think of that as, for our own personal curiosity. It is not disqualifying to be an engineering major. We had an engineering major in our class last year, Brooks a statistics major, so we get a variety of people. And then here comes the meatier questions that we're going to ask you. We're going to ask you about your prior research experience. So what do we mean by prior research experience? What we're looking for are people with very limited research experience. And we do not count AP research in high school as research experience, as valuable as that course may have been, and not to diminish the work that you did, but that to us isn't like a disqualifier, right? Because we're going to teach you more college level, university, social science specific research methodology. So we're not, not to say that those weren't good experiences and those aren't great classes, but don't think of that as research experience for this particular application. What we're not looking for is somebody who's like, I'm getting ready to write my honors thesis. I've co-authored with a faculty member. I have a publication in the Journal of Undergraduate Research. This is not for you. Please see us in February when ASCII and Haskell applications begin. So this is for people who are like, I don't really, beyond maybe writing a paper for a class, I really haven't ever written my own original research paper before. Maybe I worked with a professor on collecting data, but I wasn't really beyond that. really part of that project, that's fine, right? Sometimes students will come and be like, well, I did work with a professor and I gathered a bunch of articles for their literature review. That's fine. That's not the kind of research experience that we're thinking of when we would still call that limited research experience. So even if you have worked on projects before, don't be discouraged from applying, because what we're really looking for are people who haven't completed their own individual research projects from front to end, right? Like they haven't asked a question and done their own lit reviews and their own data collection. They haven't done that before. That's what we're looking for. Why are you interested in the research topic of domestic policy issues? Just tell us a little bit about why that's interesting to you. Are there certain things you are interested in? There's a wait list. If we get more than 30 great people who have applied, we are capped at a certain number, but not everybody who gets in will want to do it, right? So some people might say, actually, there's another course offered at the same time I'm more interested in. So, we'll ask you if you want to be put on a wait list. We do already know the date. It's Saturday, April 18th, 2026. It's usually from like 8:30 to noon. Is the research symposium. Do you believe that you will be available for that? And then just kind of an agreement that you understand it's a 3-credit course, that you will be enrolled as well. All right, so some frequently asked questions that we get, and then I'll open the floor to questions. What happens if I accidentally submit an incomplete application? It's totally fine. Like, the world will not blow up. We won't disqualify you. Just go in and finish, or go start a new one. We download and check for duplicates. And kick out duplicates, and we look at timestamps to make sure we're keeping the most recent one. If you're ever concerned about that, you can certainly email me or Ava, who you've heard from about your RSVPs, and ask questions or, get reassurances. What if I have a question about the application later? Ask us. We're really nice. You can email us, you can email me, you can email Ava, you can email us both, and we'll ask you. What if I do have a research experience? If you're sitting here, you're like, actually, I am ready to write my honors thesis. I have done my own research. I don't think I'm really fit for an introduction class. That's great. And we have the Ask You Haskell Scholars, which Isabella mentioned. She's a Haskell Scholar. Ask You is for people interested in sort of U.S. domestic topics, and Haskell is for more global or internationally focused topics. You get $2,000 a year. You identify a faculty mentor from somewhere on campus, and they get $1,000 professional development funds. It's a really great thing. Then you're part of a cohort. You also get an opportunity to present your research. So if you are sitting here and you're like, I don't think I'm really an intro person, I think I actually might be more advanced than that and might be more further along in my research journey, join us in February. If you scan the code that's up here, and there's some codes like on the table as well, you can be added to our research initiatives interest list, and you'll get notified about when those sort of opportunities open up. What if I don't want to know? What if I don't know what I want to research yet? Man, join the club. It is totally fine to not know, and I'm pretty sure Brooke and Isabella, like, kind of at some point were like, I don't know, political parties, like development. That is totally fine. We will help you craft your research question. Research questions kind of develop naturally too. So that's totally fine if you don't know specifically what you want to ask, but you're interested in climate change, or you're interested in like 5 different things. That's also okay as well. So a little bit about the research symposium. It is going to be April 18th, 2026. It's held here in Pugh Hall. We use the Acora. We use different rooms all around the Acora. It's academic conference style, which means you're on a panel with similar topics, and you have a discussant and an audience, and you present for about 10-ish minutes, and then you get feedback and questions and things to consider about your project. We provide breakfast. And you are invited to bring friends and family. In fact, it's really nice to see people bring their friends and family to watch them present. Our discussants that we use are faculty here at the University of Florida. We also use some graduate students in different departments as well. You get audience Q&A, some real-time feedback, and you do this before your final project is due in the class, because the idea, and this is the secret about academic conferences universally, is that you always present works in progress. Nobody goes to academic conferences and presents a totally finished, published piece. The idea is that you bring something in progress, you get feedback, and you incorporate that into your final project. And that's the way academics actually do research and when they present their stuff. So this is giving you that experience as well. It's like, well, I got this feedback from this discussant. I don't know how I'm going to incorporate it or if, and we'll discuss how you do that as well. So important dates, applications actually opened the beginning of the week. They're active now. You're here today for the lunch info session. Applications will close November 14th. And then by the 21st, before we go on Thanksgiving holiday, you will hear about whether or not you were able to be added to the class. By December 2nd, we're going to ask that kind of first round of people to let us know if they accept their spot so that we can move to other students who may want to also add the class. And then January 12th is when spring begins. So then we're off to the races. There's the QR code to go to the application. If you look on your tables, there's also some flyers with the QR code as well. Ava will send out an email too, that includes that link. You can find it on our website on the Civic Scholars page too. And now I'll take questions. Does anybody have questions for me, for Isabella, for Brooke? Yeah, go ahead.
How competitive is the application?
It's a little competitive. We usually get more applicants than seats in the class, not by much, but usually once we take out people who are like, I'm running my own research lab and I have 3 publications. Inevitably, you get one of those. It does reduce the pool a little bit. I will say this year we've had a lot more interest than in previous years. Yes.
Is it possible that at the end of this course, there is going to be published, or is that more so reserved for advanced programs?
It is absolutely possible, and if it is something that you feel like you want to do, we can absolutely help you with the resources to take your project from how you left it in April to what you need to then do to get it ready to publish. Yeah.
Yeah. Do students ever collaborate if they have similar policy areas, or is it just?
So it's your individual project, but we do a lot of peer work, and so we do a lot of collaboration in terms of reviewing each other's work, giving each other feedback. I will sometimes put you in collaborative groups as we each have our own project, but we're working on something similar. Maybe we are all kind of reviewing each other. Other questions? Yeah.
Who else is sort of the main mentor for the students? Do the students also get any other mentors, or do they connect with any policy?
So yeah, I'm the instructor for the course, but we highly encourage you that if there's a professor that is an expert on your topic, or there's a professor in your major who you're close with to get feedback on, we encourage you to do that. We also will bring in guest speakers on different topics and aspects of the research process. So definitely, you will get some interaction with that. Yeah.
Because it's a 3-credit course, how rigorous or time intensive is it on a per week basis when you study?
I think it's going to be very similar to a standard 3-credit course. We do reserve a lot of time in class to work on your projects and get feedback as well. There will be some readings that you have to do on perusal, but there's not the class is very workshop based. So we'll be working on different skills and things during the class. Other questions? All right, if you think of any, please do feel free to contact me and follow up. And we look forward to seeing your applications. I'm very excited about this year. It's going to be a really nice, great semester. So thanks so much for coming.